Hey guys, Sublord here, back in with another action figure review of the Biker Mice from Mars Throttle, not by Galoob, but by the fine folks over at Nacel, as a part of their Nacelverse, which props to Brian, another Brian, in case you didn't know. My name is Brian too. If you're subscribed to the channel, I would hope you'd know that. If not, well then, guess that proves your loyalty, doesn't it? But props to Brian over at Nacel for A, denouncing that he's a coke addict, and B, pretty much just accumulating any license he can get his hands on and doing whatever he wants with it. I have to respect that. It's crazy, it's nuts, it's borderline psychotic, but somebody's willing to do it. I have to respect that. I just hope he gets something like Mummies Alive, or Mighty Ducks, or SWAT Cats, or Skeleton Warriors, which that one's a bit of a can of worms. And I guess SWAT Cats is owned by somebody else other than Hanna-Barbera now, so that might be a little bit more difficult to obtain. But I would also not be opposed to Gargoyles either, since, well, NECA dropped the ball on that one. But in the meantime, we got the Biker Mice from Mars. What's the story behind the Biker Mice from Mars? They're Biker Mice from Mars. I don't 100% know the backstory of this series. I'm hoping I can catch it somewhere like Tubi or YouTube and freshen up on my Biker Mice from Mars knowledge. It used to be on a channel called El Rey that I have where I live in upstate New York. They played literally all of it, and I didn't watch it because it was like 2 a.m. And at that time I was either getting ready for bed or getting ready for videos, so I missed a lot of that. I just remember this really cool Terminator looking guy with a mohawk. I wouldn't mind seeing Nacel make that guy. But at any rate, what I do know is that Throttle was voiced by Rob Paulsen, who is awesome, and was my favorite for the longest time. But he may have been dethroned by, well, the next one we'll be taking a look at. But stay tuned for tomorrow for more on that. However, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, why don't we cut right into the meat and taters of this review, take a look-see at all the accessories the figure in question has to offer, because there's actually quite a few. Starting off with a pair of fisticuffs, so I'm sure Throttle likes to throw down in the pit once in a while. We also have a pair of open hands, as well as an alternate head. And side note, the glasses do actually come off, so you can see his face under there. They just kind of slide in and sort of snap into place, like so. This little hair tuft does kind of help keep them on too. But once you get them in there, they're nice and secure. He's got his little antennas on his head. The antennas are gummy-ish. Not too gummy to where they're going to warp over time, but they are gummy-er than the rest of the head. He's got his little earring there. This head is kind of, I think, an open mouth, kind of yelling head. Of course, we get his helmeted head, which you can pop the clear visor out. It's a little tricky because of the tabs. There's a tab here in the front, and then there are a couple tabs in the back. And you got to line them up a certain way to get them over the helmet. You just gotta kind of snap one in, snap the next one in, and then this one, you gotta kind of push it in gradually. And of the three Biker Mice, this guy's is the easiest to pop off. So that's why I showcased it here. I hope I don't have to heat this up, because this is acrylic, and acrylic will warp with the heat. So be careful with that if you do have to heat it up. You don't want to ruin it. We also get his little pistol, which they all come with, and his sprocket launcher, which actually does shoot you know, if your thumb's not on the daggum thing. It's really tight. Like, it's not like the easiest thing to shoot, to be honest with you. Nah, screw it. Just shoot the review set. Hopefully I don't lose it. Fingers crossed. Here we go. Woo! Got quite a kick to it, doesn't it? Yeah, that's not... You'll literally shoot your eye out with this thing, I swear. So be careful with that. You could potentially kill someone and go to prison. You do get 2 extra sprockets if you lose one, though. So there you go. Let me just make sure my review set didn't get... Okay. Didn't get jacked up from the recoil on that. Then he also comes with a wiener. Because unlike the Ninja Turtles, these guys like hot dogs. I like myself some hot dogs once in a while. Usually plain, because I'm interesting like that. Now, taking a look at the figure in question. Lots of accessories. I don't think we really needed any more other than maybe this gun. That's molded into the holster on his hip. I'm not a fan of that, but it ain't going nowhere, and truth be told, it'd probably just be in his hip holster anyways. So I guess that's neither here nor there. But as far as the sculpt goes, it's got the superhero proportions, kind of. He's a little lanky, but I do believe these were initially based off the Galoob molds. They just added joints to them, and that's why they look like this. Not terrible, but not the best they could be. I think they could be a little broader, maybe a little buffer in certain areas, but for the most part, not too shabby. Articulation, on the other hand, their heads can rotate, look up and down, tilt side to side. He's a little hindered because he's got his mullet back here. At least that's what I think that is. And this bandana, which is connected to the vest. Normally not a fan of that, but here it looks fine. Shoulders will go up to the side about this far. Back down, they will rotate all the way around. No butterfly joints of any kind, which would have been helpful since they do have bikes, but I imagine they can get on the bikes just fine. Bicep swivel does work, and funny thing about the bicep swivel on these figures is the peg that goes into the shoulder is down here in the elbow. It goes through the bicep, kind of like a tube, and then plugs into the shoulder. The bicep itself is just a cap, so it's not really attached to anything. I mean, it snaps in place, but it doesn't really make things tighter or looser, except the bicep swivel itself. Double jointed elbows, which are butter smooth and not the best looking, but not the worst either. He does have this little band around his wrist, and his bands are different. It's not just some melted schmutz on his hand. He does have ball hinged wrists, which are pretty decent, albeit a little loose on this side, but not too bad. And the hands aren't too difficult to pop off. I'll demonstrate here. That one popped right off. So I always advocate for heating stuff if you're going to pop it off. But if you don't need to, you don't need to. As far as the torso range goes, you can bend this far forward, this far back, as well as rotate and tilt side to side. I don't know if this is common, but my Throttle's torso is a little bit loose. Just a little bit for my liking. And all 3 biker mice kind of share that issue. They are kind of loose in some spots, but not the worst. He does have rotation in the waist, which I do prefer the diaphragm joint with the waist cut as opposed to the inverted ab crunch, because you can turn the waist with this combination. With that ab crunch, you never get a waist swivel, and it just doesn't look right. It looks weird. They don't lean properly when they do that. The hips can kick out pretty far. They're on ball sockets, so they will move back and forth. He does have a thigh cut, double jointed knee. I'm not sure if the knees are injection molded. I'm led to believe that they are, but don't quote me on that. I will say this thigh on mine was not attached in the package, so I had to heat up his torso, pop it apart, and then carefully move this belt off the torso with the leg attached because the pistol holster. And then I had to heat up the thigh itself and push it in there all the way. There was a little schmutz on the peg that I cut off too with my X-Acto to make sure it was going to go on all the way. And it seems to be okay now. A little tighter than before. It's not just popping off when I turn it. So I'm going to say it's fixed. Boot swivel, nice and tight. A little too tight out of package though. I did have to use quite a bit of elbow grease to get those to rotate. But the ankles, nice tight ankles with a rocker. However, no peg holes at the bottom of the feet. I would like some peg holes at the bottom of the feet just in case. But that's just me. The tails are on ball joints, and if you're a doofus like me, you will rip it right out. So popping that back in, you can see that it will rotate and it will move up. Probably up enough to sit on the bike, but I would probably almost recommend you do that and then try to flatten it out. I don't know. I haven't gotten the bikes yet. I'm curious how these tails work. I'd imagine just popping them off would be easier, but I'd rather not do that. Less stuff I have to put in storage, the better. But that is Throttle in a nutshell. Really solid. I really like these so far. I only have the 3. I don't have the bikes. Wave 2's not out yet, but for what it's worth, these feel like slightly better, maybe even a little bit more than slightly better than Super 7 quality, minus the stupid Super 7 price tag. Like, these guys are around 30 bucks, and Super 7 figures are pushing 60 now. I don't understand why, other than they choose to operate out of a area that has ridiculous rent rates, and they're passing that on to us along with the licensing fee, which is bogus if you ask me. That is not a consumer problem. That is a production problem. People who pump this stuff out should be paying for that, not us. But that's just my 2 cents on the matter. And in this case, we don't have to pay a licensing fee because Nacel straight owns these guys. So that's cool, I guess. So that being said, I think it is time now that we move right along and take a look at some size comparisons. First up, here is good old Throttle alongside the rest of his brothers, teammates. I'm not sure what the relation amidst these 3 characters are, but we have Moto, who is a big mother trucker, and Vinny, who's a little mother trucker. And it should be worth noting that both Throttle and Moto are actually named after parts on a motorcycle, while Vinny is named after some Italian mobster from the 1940s. Okay, random as heck, but I like the fact that these guys are different sizes. Makes them unique. You got Vinny, the little guy, Throttle, medium guy, and Moto, the big jack bruiser who probably knocked the crap out of you if you tick him off. I can respect that. I think that's cool. Getting these 2 out of the way, because we'll talk about them more in their reviews, which will be coming up over the course of the next couple of days here on the channel. So, you know, if you want to see those, subscribe and whatnot on your own time, of course. But now we got to bring in our 2 regulars, the Mythic Legion's Brother Mandibilith, and the infamous 11 Spawn, who I'd say is about neck and neck with old Throttle there. If we don't count the antennas, it's pretty close. If it ain't the same, it's pretty darn close. So with that being said, it's time now that we wrap things up with some final thoughts. Overall, in my initial thoughts of the fine folks over at Nacel are as follows. Their figures feel above Super 7 quality, almost kind of sort of in the same ballpark, but I'm going to say a little bit above. But minus the price. They managed to keep their figures around $30 while still including quite a plethora of accessories, and to be honest with you, aside from some looseness in the joints here and there, and in good old Throttle's case here, I had to use my nail file to clean up some, I don't know if it was glue or just mold degradation or what, on the back of his vest. But either way, fixable problems that I shouldn't have to deal with. I have to say, if these guys improve over time, and I'm hoping that they do, they could be one of the next toy companies you see featured on the channel here, so far as they keep making stuff I like Biker Mice, or better yet, Mommy's Alive, SWAT Cats, Mighty Ducks. What say you? In fact, I'd go so far as to say, let them tackle gargoyles or something, you know? I'm down for something different, right? I'd really like Skeleton Warriors, but that's a whole other can of worms. So, with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this review, and until next time, I'll catch you guys later.